Happy May Day, May Day, May Day, May Day. Beltane Day. The day halfway between the spring equinox and the summer equinox. A day of fertilization. A day of, let's see. Start this off 11/11 on this gorgeous day. I'm going to start this off with Book of Awakenings, Mark Nepo. So, May 1st, burying and planting. The accumulation of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed to the next. There's very little difference between burying and planting. For often we need to put dead things to rest so that new life can grow. And further, the next thing to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for the life about to form. As the well-used thing joins with the earth, the love fertilizes the new. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being has strapped us to the world, fertilizes the freer state stance about to unfold. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being has strapped us to the world, fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. This is, he states in the next paragraph, this is very helpful when considering the many forms of self we inhibit over our lifetime. And I think we're coming into a new place, a new self, a new summer or spring. Spring is coming out of spring into summer. And we might be coming out as new kinds of humans. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm going to read that again. Burying and planting. The accumulation of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed of the next. And I give gratitude for my ancestors, because the accumulation of my ancestors' love, their dream, their one self, is the anonymous seed for my life. And then I leave this anonymous seed for my grandchildren. My daughter, my grandchildren, their children's 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 children. There's very little difference between burying and planting. For often we need to put dead things to rest so that new life can grow. And further, the thing put to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for the life about to form. As the well-used thing joins with the earth, the old love fertilizes the new. The broken dream fertilizes the dream yet conceived. The painful way of being that strapped us to a world fertilizes the freer inner stance about to unfold. So much gratitude for that wisdom. So I'm coming today on Beltane Day because today is this day that the sacred fire is started, and this fertilization process in this Celtic or Druid celebration of life. So as that is my ancestry, it rings very true to me that we are in this beautiful time of awakening. And for those that just joined, I just read from Mark Nepo, The Burying and the Planting. And I'll just do a little recap on that. This will be the topic for today on this Beltane Day, this May Day, the Mother Earth is making a May Day call. And that's what I'm going to be bringing forth, the wisdom that's come through me. So on this May 1st reading from Mark Nepo, he states, the culmination of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed of the next. Our ancestors, our mothers and fathers, if they've passed before us, are this anonymous seed of the next. And we are the anonymous seed of the seed that comes after, as in our own ancestors that are being born to if we've had children. And even if you haven't had any children, we're all planting seeds for the next generation. There is little difference between burying and planting, for often we put dead things to rest so new life can grow. And further, the next thing put to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for the life about to form. So we're in this place where we're going to be coming into this new life, this new way of understanding life. So this transmission, I started to ask some questions, like just questions. Like, what's our biggest fear? What is the biggest fear? Is your biggest fear dying? So how about being Beltane Day? Today is this death of burying and planting are the same thing. From the death or the decay in the earth becomes all these microbes and mycelium. And from that, new life comes forth from the beauty of the life before. But if we don't want to face death, then we get we're not living. So I did this little research project this morning, and I kind of asked the question, how many people died in the United States of America in 2019? And I got this number. And not one day in 2019 were they telling us how many people died every day. And every single one of these people that had died was a loved one and an ancestor to someone that they were mourning and grieving and appreciating that very life that gave them life. Happy May Day. Happy beautiful Beltane Day. So the deaths in the United States of America last year were 2,813,503. That was 2.5 million people died. The average death age is around between 76 and 78 years old. So I calculated how many people died per day. And that's 7,815 people per day die in the United States in 2019. And then I asked the question, how many people have died between January and April? And like I told you, in 2019, there was 7,815 people dying per day. And this year, 2020, from all causes, there's 969 people dying per day. So it's a little more than 100 people per day, more than normal. So I was looking at the amount of fear that has been given to us, and I started to think about the fear of death. And what is this thing that we're the most afraid of? So I started sourcing that today for this beautiful May Day transmission. And I have two books. This book, Stardust Ranch. And this is a true story from John Edmonds. And it's about this ranch out in Arizona. And this guy buys this ranch, and he kind of rescues horses, and he's out there just to have like this peaceful experience. He was a social worker, and he has all these very strange phenomenon that happen. And others that know me, they probably know I have a little bit more of out there experiences than maybe the average bear. And so I know that there is no such thing as death. I know that there is other life forms that are outside of that rainbow spectrum that we can actually see. And if we start evolving as a human species, we're going to be able to have a multidimensional kind of experience about life. The way a shamanic person would shape shift. That's really true. That is in my experience of seeing something come out of nothing. A spirit come into a room that had no way to get into the room and showing up from a multidimensional to a physical form. So we're physical form right now, and when we're not in this physical form, we go back into something that's the essence of who we are. So I'm bringing this to you on this beautiful day of this new fertilization, and how do you want to be seeding the world right now? And I'm going to help maybe suggest that we do not seed. We have to maybe know what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of fear. Only 100 more people are dying per day over what's normal. But last year in 2019, nobody was telling you how many people per day were dying. So this year, we're getting a death report every day. Every day we're getting a death report. And I'm not saying there's not something going on, but I'm going to ask something about yourself. Because the collective unconscious is what we all have in ourselves. And it's our power as humans to manifest through our imagination. So if your imagination is focused on something that's kind of fearful, can you imagine? So my crown is a little, there we go. My hair is crazy. So here we go. I got this from the Stardust Ranch. Okay, one of the things that was stressed for us in this time of we're in right now, like I said, there's no difference between planting and burying, because everything comes out of the mulching of the death of something else for the seed of the new life to come up. So we're looking at this so that he's talking about making contact with interdimensional experience and getting the wisdom that's coming in and imparting it into this person's firsthand experience. And he says these things, and I'm going to read it. If anyone's interested in this book, I can give you the details. Okay, so these interdimensionals, they stress to me that what role plays in a given life, what the role of fear plays in a given life. They describe fear as an absolutely useless emotion. Fear grounds consciousness. Think about that one. Fear grounds consciousness. And right now we're grounded in this fear of death. Death is life. It's inevitable. And like I stressed with those numbers, we're only 100 more per day than normal from last year in 2019. And nobody was talking about it last year, but now we have a death report, which is a fear report if you haven't dealt with your beliefs around death. Fear grounds consciousness. It exists in such a great measure in human beings because we have not yet conquered death. Death is the baseline for all fear. It corrupts our imagination. And the imagination is the portal to other dimensions. Remember, all creation is finished. It was finished the moment it began. Imagination is the place we view unmanifest reality, but the reality is corrupted by our fear. So if you think about creation being created, and everything is part of this whole, this wholeness, this nature, everything, even us, There isn't any new creation. There is a kind of a duplication. I mean, I came from something, and then something I gave birth to came from me, but I didn't create it. Creator created it. So Creator created everything at the same time. So I'm going to read that again. Death is the baseline for all fear. It corrupts our imagination. And the imagination is the portal to other dimensions. Remember, all creation is finished. It was finished the moment it began. Imagination is the place we view unmanifest reality. But the reality is corrupted by our fear. We are co-creators with creation. That means we're co-creators with creation. So creation is creating through us. So if we have a collective unconscious that is so afraid and so much fear, what are we co-creating? Are we creating a heaven on earth or a hell on earth? That's a good question to ask yourself. So this is the meaning of human life. If fear is allowed to create in our imaginations, then reality is corrupted. Both the manifested and the unmanifested realities. These interdimensional beings also told me, that we neither understand nor use our imaginations correctly. The imagination is the communication tool between a human being and creation, and it is the whiteboard for our creative process. Ask any creative writer where their stories came from, and they'll tell you they don't know. Or they'll defer to some amorphous entity like the muse. The same thing for scientific breakthroughs. Often the scientists can't even explain the breakthrough or how it happened. Creativity is the only thing that artificial intelligence will lack. Our creativity is our connection with the Creator, and the imagination is its language. This becomes a critical understanding when we're making contact on the interdimensional. Much of it happens in our consciousness. Remember the act. Okay, so he's talking about this. It's like so important. I'm not going to read any more from this book because it's a great book. It's a true story. This guy is like salt of the earth, kind of down to earth, and he has all of these interesting experiences in these other realms. And like I've talked about in my other videos, we live in the rainbow spectrum of light. And we live in a certain frequency of sound. We can't hear frequencies that are super high, and we can't hear frequencies that are super low. Does that mean they're not there? No, it means we don't have an experience of them. So back in the day, before there was an X-ray, people didn't even know that there was that kind of wave that we could see through things. X-ray. Ultrasound has the same thing. You can't see it, you can't hear it, but it can penetrate your body and give you images. Personally, I have a lot of experience with that. So I understand how the frequencies work and how we're in this frequency. Certain things we see and certain things we don't see. Certain things we hear and certain things we don't hear. Other animals on the planet have much better innate knowledge of their frequencies. And right now, we're in this time, this May Day 2020. This is like May Day, May Day, May Day. Wake up! The frequencies of a tiger is in the room. And the tiger is there, kind of licking its paw. You're getting so afraid. You're getting so afraid it's going to change your imagination. The collective unconscious has gone into a major fear lockdown for itself. So I'm saying, from the statistics that I gave, and I'll give them one more time. I just did this up. Look it up. It's just on Google. I looked on the CDC. How many deaths in 2019? There were 2,813,503 deaths in 2019. That was 7,800 deaths per day. And so far, from January to April, we've had 900,556, 280 deaths. That is 7,969 deaths per day for all deaths. So last year we had 7,815 deaths per day, and this year we have 7,969. So we're about 100 deaths more per day than last year. So the amount of fear we're getting for that is a lot more. So I'm just saying our fear is stopping you from imagining the new kind of planet that we want to be living on. There is no division between you and me. I'm a different, unique expression than you are, and I so admire your unique expression. But I don't want to annihilate you if you have a different opinion than me. I want to seek to ask some more questions rather than take anyone's dogma. I love dogma. Dogma backwards, God. D-O-G-G-O-D. Okay. So I'm going to read now from this Starseed Transmissions again, and this is chapter 7, The Dance of Life. So again, I'm hoping I'm going to tap you into your uniqueness, your imagination, and you come up with your own story rather than somebody else's story. I mean, boy, wasn't that a freeing concept? So that is a co-creation template, blueprint. The Creator's created it all. But my job is to co-create with Creator. Creator didn't make fear. It made all of this beautiful nature. All of this beautiful nature is made not from fear, but by love. So we have to really get the information. Do not consent to things that are giving you fear, and step in to this new day, this new world, this fertilization day. This is the day that we do the maypole. We're dancing in this creation. We're like creators in the creation. We're co-creators in the creation. Whether you're creating a child, whether you're planting a garden, whether you're making art, whether you're singing, you're dancing, but you are enjoying life, not taking this so serious. Life right now I'm having an experience of life, but I came somewhere before. 62 years ago, I wasn't here on the planet. And maybe tomorrow I won't be here now, but if I was only in fear about dying when it's an inevitable thing, that's a very interesting prison you'd be in. So here we go. I'm going to read from this. The Dance of Life. As a child, your conceptual prison was not yet fully defined. You still retain the ability to enter the lands of eternal being. Do you remember that when you were a child? No one told you everything so that you had to live by their programs, or how, how you program a computer. Well, we do that to our little children, and we do it by what we were programmed by. Like, maybe we didn't even question what our parents did. We just do the same thing. So then you're putting your child in the same prison that you were put in. So it's an interesting one. And you can say prison and prism. If you look through the prism, you see the rainbow light. Well, we are in the rainbow light prism, but the prison is in the mind that got programmed. So it's up to you to defrag your program or reset it. Reset. Okay. As an awakened child of God, you will again be able to speed up or slow down the passage of time, to stop raindrops on windows, or war in the Middle East. You ever think about that? If you wanted to stop war, you have to stop warring. You can't go against anything. You have to hold up and say, I do not consent. But I do not consent. I'm not consenting what's going on in this reality with fear right now. I'm not going to consent to that. And I am going to tell you that I hope that you stand up to not consent either. With the awareness of eternity in each moment, with your involuntary data analysis systems providing you with infallible reports many thousands of times per second. You will have plenty of time to correctly access all the factors present in the moment or whatever circumstance presents itself to you. So we are master data processors. Our body is a master data processor. But I can only process from the programs that are in my brain. Now, if I've got fear running all the time in my program, I am going to be frozen, fight or flight. And that means the tiger's in the room and it knows I have and I am going to run. I am going to run. And then, well, what happens? All these other tigers are out there hunting, right? So they're going to get you from that very aspect of fear. If you're not afraid of death, nothing can get you. Not your attention, not to create more pain and suffering for others when you separate from them when they've gone into fear. So it's a very interesting thing. As a child, you were not programmed yet. You weren't in the prison. So now you have an opportunity to come back on this May Day as a child, so that you do not bring these programs of what your parents have done to you or what you want to do to your own children or grandchildren because you think you're right. I mean, isn't that kind of a funny thing? Who knows what's right for anyone else, really? Only for my own sovereignty do I know. So, you will determine the optimal course of action with the ease and grace of a dancer. You will always choose the path of optimum response. Not because you lack free will, but because such a path presents for you both the path of least resistance and the path of greatest fulfillment. You will no longer use your free will to make unnecessary mistakes, but to find out what part you might most creatively play in the whole. So this is really important. We're all playing a unique piece in the whole, in the wholeness. And in the wholeness, it's like a figure eight going in like this. The toroidal energy field of the earth goes like a figure eight. And some people are playing over here and enjoying it, and some people are playing here. Some people are playing in the night, and some people are playing in the day. Some people like darkness and that kind of thing, and other people are playing in the light. You can't say one is right and one is wrong, because in this world we have both, the masculine, the feminine. One isn't right and one isn't wrong. So you can't go into that. You have to go into what your uniqueness is. So it's very much a path of least resistance to find what this joy is, or whatever your optimum highest level of fun. So, or joy. So how about if you came into your imagination on this May Day and chose something that you just absolutely think it just tickles you, like when you were a little kid, like let's pretend. Do you remember when you did that? It was so exciting to pretend. So this is really what we are. We're co-creators, and you're not going to get me into that pattern of saying, this is the way it is. Well, yeah, maybe for you, I'll honor that, but not for me. It's not my experience, right? So you will no longer, okay, so here we go. In choosing to do God's will, you would discover the only true freedom. And that's why I've always been saying that I do divine appointments. I am not going anything that is not like, oh, God's appointment's my divine appointment. So, and I'm going to show up. And it's not to say I won't have contrast in a divine appointment, because there always is contrast. Contrast gets you to know what you like or you don't like. So we're having a lot of contrast right now, and I'm very, very, very grateful for it. Your ability to function will reach the perfection of its potential, and you will have little difficulty correcting the disharmony in your historical situation. That's a good one, isn't it? Living in the state of grace, you will function much like a computer, monitoring the variables of any given situation, determining the optimal behavior pattern, scanning, adjusting for new data over and over, many times per second. All data pertinent to the given situation will automatically be processed on the unconscious level. Consciously, You will always be aware of the course of action that makes optimum use of the potential available in all factors in the situation. Your inner control mechanism, returned at last to the directive impulse of life, will take care of this unconsciously. It will be as simple and natural as breathing. Trusting in the design that God has already incorporated into the physical body is the key of this new type of function. So I'm going to pause for that because this is really important. We have an innate knowledge in our body. We don't have to tell our body it's time to digest what I just ate. We don't have to tell our body to breathe. We don't have to tell our heart to beat. It just knows how to do it. It knows how to take care of all of the bacterias. I mean, there's millions of bacterias and viruses that are coming through the air right now. My body knows what to do. It takes care of it. Now we get these insults to our immune system, and sometimes we have these things that we're fighting off. Well, that makes it a little harder for our body to take care of itself, but it's still taking care of itself. It's still choosing life. It's an amazing machine. There is no machine on the planet like our body, our innate body. So if you just learned one system, just your lymph system alone, you would get so blown away with how the bayous work and how the streams work and how it cleans the water and how you can make something very dirty, very clean, very quickly. Even mushrooms will clean up oil spills. It's pretty amazing what nature can do. And our body is nature. So we have this innate knowledge that we haven't tapped into as a human. We come into this human realm. We get programmed by our parents. We forget that we're part of the earth. We don't even want people to die because we think they're gone forever, when basically it's all part of life. So animals come into the planet and they have innate knowledge. They come in and they start running. They start knowing how to survive. We have to remember our innate body wisdom now. This is the time. So this is about turning on something that you've forgotten is doing all of these things and paying honor to this human vessel that is actually doing all of this amazing stuff all the time, actually bringing us to a balanced vibration. So it says here, can you imagine how awkward it would be if you were required to assume conscious responsibility for all your automatic systems of your body? In a sense, what you would be doing, you would have to override your automatic informational process systems in deference to the rational thought process. So thank goodness we don't have to think, to breathe, to blink, to react when something's hot, or to eat, to go into our body and physically work on the digestion. I don't know. It's kind of funny when I think about it. Historically, your mind has been preoccupied with an overload of sensory input that was never designed to be processed consciously. Your conscious function is in another realm, a realm of spontaneous creation, dance, music, and delight. For this is what you began to do as your trust is restored once again to the life purpose. You begin to dance to the music of your soul. So this is a remembering. We are meant to be light, to lighten up, to not take this life so seriously. We are all going to go at some point. And if you've gone gripping in fear, if you ever watched anyone going gripping in fear versus them going with utmost peace, like wholeness, I would say wholeness because I don't believe in peace, I believe in wholeness. So there's not a piece missing in wholeness. They go into this wholeness. And when you watch that, it is the most amazing birth experience. And I want to be a doula, a death doula, to embrace the beauty of that. That's so beautiful because from that, new life comes. And so I want to just do this one little paragraph next because I really think that people have forgotten that they're vibration. They're made from vibration. We are made of sound. If you look into the quantum realm of the quantum physics, we're not material. Everything is not material. And it's where we are using our co-creation is making it material or physical. So if we get too serious, we'll forget to dance, we'll forget to sing, we'll forget our unique expression. And it's really important on this May Day that we remember and celebrate life. Life. You have to have death for life. You have to be able to do this, for life. So I'm going to read this. There are 7 primary vibrational channels maintained within the overall vibrational body of the planetary being. Within each of these 7 primary channels are 7 sub-channels. The conscious execution of your creative responsibilities in the overall design will occur in one of these primary channels. The discovery of which level within the planetary being you have been designed to function on will not come through conceptualization. It will come through inner sensitivity to feelings. All feelings are valuable. There isn't one that's not valuable or valid. It's the duality that makes you think one's good or bad. It's not. All of them are worth celebrating. It's a vibration, it's planetary rhythms. Once you attune yourself to your rhythms, to these rhythms that are inside of yourself, you will find that the functional duties you are called upon to perform are the very things you most want to do. No longer bound by false responsibilities born of fear and addiction to past patterns. No more born of responsibilities born of fear, addiction, and past patterns. You will take up the tools of your trade and delight in the creative implementation of God's will. We will all be working in a new way. We will hear different notes to what our functional duty is. We'll be dancing on the fulfillment of our particular obligation. Can you see that? We're all so unique. What my joy is not what your joy is. And if I'm comparing my joy to your joy, I am gonna not really get it right. I won't get it because I'm trying to source from someone else. And it's not for someone else to tell me what my vibrational frequency is. So when I was in Peru and I did this, the 7 years, and, I was working with the shamans and they were, trying to describe stuff to me with a translator, and all of us were trying to figure it out in this English brain I have. I'm like English. I have angles in my brain. I'm missing half the characters to even understand what this heart-centered people that don't even have a written language, they have textiles and weavings to describe in symbols what their heart connection is. And I am trying to divide it. I'm trying to source from my division. And I can't understand what they're like. I couldn't for many years understand what they were trying to say, how we're all connected. All these centers are connected. I have a center down in my belly, which is my intuition center. It is an intestine. It's a snake. It has this gut knowledge. It has this amazing safety mechanisms down there for fear and my innate security instincts are down there. But if I'm only run by my lower world in this womb of darkness, and I never travel to my heart center, which is the Jaguar Center. This is the Jaguar Center. I was telling you about that. This is the one that knows that when a hunt like a lion is hunting something, that's the ultimate love, because when you eat is the ultimate love, right? So what you take in from the Pachamama, from Mother Earth, is the ultimate love and reverence. You're not separate from anything on this planet, and that something had to die in order for you to eat. So that's this basic understanding. So we don't want to get stuck here either. And we travel up to this part of our brain, and this is our bird brain. So we have lots of different energy centers. Even up here, we have a reptilian part of our brain that just goes into fight or flight, and it knows how to keep us safe from that lion in the jungle. But if you're living in that fight or flight and you haven't rose up to your pineal gland or to your third eye and up into your crown chakra, this U'umakuku, which is your spiral, and you go up into the higher vision, you don't have any trust in anything bigger. You don't have any trust in the one that has all the wholeness of everything that's coming to wake you up to who you are. So we're getting the big wake up to who we are. And I'm just going to suggest that we come out of the fear. If you're running by fear, you're really have limited brain function. Your brain is shut down. You're like a deer in the headlights. You're frozen. And you're not going to be able to access even what brings you joy. I've been talking to a lot of artists. They're not even able to create. They're so locked down in their fear and like, oh my goodness. And they're watching and sourcing from all of these things. And I want to like, again, iterate, go on to this, Google it. How many people died last year? I did it. How many people died last year? Okay, I'm going to read it one more time because it's really important. 7,815 people per day died last year. And right now we're having 7,969 deaths per day. 7,815 last year, 7,969 this year. That's just all deaths. So last year they weren't telling us how many people died per day. And I say it's not even a death. It is a celebration of life. Today is May Day. May Day. May Day. Why did they say May Day, May Day, May Day? Like, do we not know who we are? We have to wake up to who we are. We're co-creators. We're not just this physical body that's going to die and go into nothing. My ancestors will live on if we don't destroy the planet that we're on. If we don't wake up and come out of our duality and stop fighting with each other and see that God creator spark in each and every person's uniqueness, and we support what brings their soul their highest joy, not what their security instinct is on how they have to survive. No, what is their highest joy? How do we support that? Because each one of these highest joys has a frequency to it, a vibration to it. And you can feel it when you're with a person that's doing what they love to do. They're anti-aging. They're becoming like a childlike in innocence inside of themselves. And I'll bring that back again to Peru. I learned these 7 levels of consciousness. Inside the 7 levels of consciousness, there's 7 colors in a rainbow. There's 7 levels in our consciousness. We're living in a rainbow light frequency. And my frequency I chose was intuition. So I'm being guided in a high level of my intuition right now to not source from the collective consciousness that is in a lockdown fear. I'm not sourcing from that. And I honor and respect everyone else's where they are. But I'm right now living in heaven. And other people are choosing and having really hard choices for this wake up. So I'm just offering this on this May Day. And I want to, again, bring it back to the Mark Nepo, which I started with. Today's May 1st. And the beginning of this reading is burying and planting. The accumulation of one love, one dream, one self is the anonymous seed of the next. There is very little difference between burying and planting. For often we need to put dead things to rest so new life can grow. The further the thing put to rest, whether it be a loved one, a dream, or a false way of seeing, becomes the fertilizer for a life about to form. We have to honor that. We have to honor that when someone's going and you are being a midlife, a doula to death, you're actually seeing a birth. This person that maybe was suffering is going to go into this amazing experience of wholeness. And we're all like, how many people are being locked down by fear of death? And I'm like, whoa. On this Beltane day, the day of fertilizing the fields, the Beltane in the Celtic tradition is the day halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. So we're halfway right now. And this is the day when they would go wild in the fields, and there would be a stag, and then there was this woman, and then there was sex in the fields, and it was this fertilization rites of this knowing that seeds have to die to burst open to become new life, And I'm seeds from my ancestors who are my grandchildren that are born to my daughter. And if the gift I can give them is my imagination, to free my imagination, to free myself of anyone else's opinions of me, free myself of whatever brings me the highest joy. I am finding that this time is giving me enough quiet that I'm able to do that. And maybe I can offer something for someone else. I am so grateful that you came on this beautiful Beltane day, this beautiful day at this halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And I wanted to share with you and show you this beautiful thing that I got. And it's kind of showing a Beltane experience. And it's this bowl. And you can see the bowl. It's Mother Earth, and she's being fertilized. And if you think about the seed of the sun comes down and it fertilizes the ground. And from that, we're born. And we live as flowers. So let your uniqueness shine. Let your love shine. Let yourself be like super light. And don't get bogged down by the patterns that are being programmed into your brain. Find that childlike imagination and follow it. I love you so, so, so much. Orpichayay son cochayay in Peru. From my heart to your heart, I offer you this beautiful blessing on this Beltane day. Mwah.